Annette, what are you working on?
I am working on a baby blanket for a dear friend of mine who's going to have a beautiful bouncing baby boy
Ah,
in June.
oh, that's in the next couple of months.
Yes, so I need to get going. And luckily, this pattern goes pretty fast.
So tell me, I understand your mother is one of 12 children, is that correct?
She was the youngest of 12, born in Kentucky, near the Kentucky-Tennessee border. And I think they were evenly divided, 6 girls and 6 boys, daughter of Mary Jones and John Thomas Jones. She was the only one of her siblings that graduated from high school, and she was so proud of that. She was raised in a time where the girls were seen as those who needed to grow up, get married, and have kids, and education wasn't necessarily of value if you were a girl. But my mother, she loved to learn. I imagine she was learning up until the day that she died. She loved to learn. And the older I get, the more I realize how brilliant my mother was. She wasn't just smart or savvy. She was brilliant. And in different times, I'm sure she would have had her PhD in more than one thing. But her circumstances, she was actually widowed twice in her lifetime. So she found herself a widow with 4 children and not really in possession of marketable skills. So further schooling was out of the question, at least formal schooling. But as far as informal learning, my mother never stopped. One of our first outings I can recall was going to the public library. She was very wise in finding valuable but free activities for us. So we spent a lot of time in the library, and she introduced us to everything from opera to how to cook a decent pot of collard greens. She was just so fascinated with the world at large. And although we were very poor, we didn't know it because she exposed us to all the rich things that are available: art, literature, theater, music. One of the things I remember about my mother is her resting face was a smile. And I looked at her and asked, "Mom, what are you smiling about?" And she'd say, "Oh, I don't know." But I think she was a very joy-centered person, and I loved that about her. And I hope that I have inherited that sense of joy in life. Well, goodness knows she had a lot to not be joyful about, but she was very good at wringing an ounce of joy out of any circumstance that she found herself in. She loved to travel. She didn't get to do much of it after she had we 4 little ones, but in her early life, instead of getting married by her late teens, as most of her sisters did, she wanted to see as much of the world as possible. So she'd get on a train. And that's probably why I love trains so much today. I love the sight and the sound of trains, even if they're only carrying cargo as opposed to carrying people. They were going somewhere. And I think that's what my mother loved about trains. They were going somewhere. So even when she wasn't able to travel literally, she traveled figuratively, going places in her mind and in books, and teaching us to read and to love reading. So I like that. I'm out amongst the trains today. Even though they're pretty stationary right now, at any moment I might catch trains whistle or movement out of the corner of my eye. And I like that. But you can be really sitting in one place and still going, traveling in your mind.
So I understand your mom took a train when she was young. Where did she go? Tell me about that trip.
She went from Kentucky and took a train to Chicago. She liked going to, I think they call them in-skill clubs, where the soldiers come for entertainment. And she would go and she would dance, and she'd prepare for her trip. Of course, she'd have a brown paper bag full of sandwiches or fried chicken or boiled eggs, something to eat on the train so she wouldn't have to buy food on the train. And she said she always packed more than what she thought she'd possibly need, just in case she got a chance to stay longer than she'd planned, or if she was invited out to something a little bit more dressy. She'd always pack both casual and dressier clothes. Oh, and she loved big band. I learned to love big band music through her love for it. She would talk about Duke Ellington and Betty Goodman and some other names that I can't remember. And the expression on her face when she talked about traveling to see big bands was just, I can remember it. I can remember it very clearly. I love the sound of that. Going places, going somewhere, hauling goods or taking people. More likely hauling goods. She would talk about all the different dances that they did. Jitterbug. And she said she didn't like them when they got too fancy, when they got to throwing her around too much. She liked more medium jitterbugging. But she talked about how much fun it was to dance with the soldiers and make it clear that she was there just to dance. Maybe a stolen kiss or two. But not 3. So she talked about how she loved the sound of trains too, and the sight of trains. She said sometimes